Hey everyone, it's September 3rd, and that means that if today's your birthday, you share with alleged serial killer Albert DeSalvo, best known as the Boston Strangler, who may have killed as many as 13 victims in the 1960s, and that is him right up there. DeSalvo was born in Chelsea, Massachusetts in 1931 and was raised by an alcoholic father who often beat his mother. His father was so abusive that he even knocked out his wife's teeth and broke her fingers in front of DeSalvo and his siblings. It's no wonder that DeSalvo had problems as a youth, being picked up for shoplifting and theft multiple times, and even being known to torture animals. He was first arrested at the age of 12, being sent to reform school. When he was released a year later, he took work as a delivery boy, but was returned to the school when he stole a car. This time when he was released, he enlisted in the Army, serving as a military police sergeant, and was honorably discharged after 2 tours of duty. He returned to Boston with a German wife, and they had 2 children, but unfortunately this story doesn't have a happy ending. In 1962, a Latvian immigrant was found strangled in her apartment, the first victim of the man who would come to be known as the Boston Strangler. By the end of June that year, 4 middle-aged women had been strangled in their own homes. Then in December, younger women began to be victimized, with 2 women in their 20s found dead at home. A manhunt was launched in search of the perpetrator while the city was gripped with fear. All told, 13 women were found dead between June of 1962 and January of 1964, with crime scenes so gruesome that their details weren't published in newspapers. Meanwhile, the police were also searching for a man who was committing what were called the Green Man sexual assaults, a string of nearly 300 attacks on women in Cambridge. When a sketch of this assailant was publicized, many women came forward to report that he had attacked them as well, and DeSalvo was identified as the assailant. When he was arrested for his role in these assaults, he surprised police by confessing to the string of murders that had occurred. He was able to cite details about the crimes that were not public knowledge, but no physical evidence was found to definitively tie him to the murders at the time. DeSalvo was sent to the first ever sex offender treatment center in Massachusetts, where he was sentenced to spend the rest of his life for the Green Man crimes. In February of 1967, he escaped, but turned himself in 3 days later, claiming he just wanted to bring attention to the conditions at the hospital. He was then sent to a maximum security prison where he remained until a fellow prisoner stabbed him to death in 1973. DeSalvo was never formally tried or convicted of the murders, and there have been many theories floated that he was in fact innocent, and that he was killed when he was about to come forward with the truth. DNA evidence was used, however, in 2013 to prove that he was at the scene of the final victim of the Strangler. Some believe that there were a number of killers at work in 1962, or that a former prison confidant of his was the real killer and that DeSalvo confessed in an attempt to get his family taken care of by selling his story. We'll likely never know for sure, but DeSalvo has become one of the most infamous killers of all time, and even was honored by a unanimous vote in the Texas legislature for his work in population control. DeSalvo, happy birthday, you bastard.